Hello, and welcome to the Homewrecker podcast. Trying to get used to this this different setup here.
Not our normal setup today, and for good reason.
Yeah, I'm Alex, by the way, and
yeah.
I'm joined as always by my beautiful, lovely, gorgeous, amazing trophy wife, the lovely Monique.
Hi.
And Monique, would you like to introduce our guest?
I am so excited because we have somebody that I've wanted on the show for a while now. And yeah, I love your face. And
I love your face.
He just made a funny face. So this is someone I've wanted on the show. And I figured because he lived on the other side of the country, it would be over Zoom. But as the universe saw fit, he is in our living room tonight. Conrad.
Hello. How you guys doing?
Conrad, welcome.
Yay, welcome. We're good. And how are you?
I'm doing great. We just had a nice long conversation. So
Yeah.
I imagine we'll just continue.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Is there anything left to talk about after our
Right.
Always.
We solved all the world's problems.
He
Yes.
did, but we're not going to share it.
No.
No.
Unless you pay.
Because we're shills.
Outstanding.
Inside joke.
Okay.
For those who
Wonderful.
know, you know.
Wonderful exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So Conrad is here today, and we're gonna just like we said, we're gonna talk about all kinds of stuff, maybe
Yeah, no agendas.
or whatever.
Just
Just kind of
conversation.
whatever comes up.
I do want to put you over
Okay.
quite a bit, though, about a few things. So for anyone who's not familiar with you, you have your own podcast.
Yes.
Which I love.
Thank you.
You're also an author.
I know.
You wrote
Crazy.
a book.
I did.
Lucid Sacred Dreams.
That's my book.
This is a really good book.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I never read. And it was actually somebody who I knew who sparked my interest in reading. My parents owned a video store. Why do I need to read? I can watch the movie.
Was it a Blockbuster?
No, it was
like a local community one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was a mom and pop.
Yeah.
And so I just always watched movies, but I've been reading a lot and I got kind of burned out because I was reading so much for hypnotherapy.
Oh yeah.
And I took a little break and then I started reading your book.
Thank you.
And
then you burned it because you're like, I'm done reading. This is it.
No.
This is the last hurrah. This is my revelation.
It's
book.
so good.
Thank you. I appreciate
It's like, it's an entertaining and fun, but easy read. Sometimes like I read books and I'm just like, wait a minute. And I have to like read it over a few times because I can't process what's being talked about. And I'm like, am I not comprehending this as I should be? Or sometimes there's so many like fancy words. I have to get a dictionary because I don't know what things mean because words are hard. But no, it's just like there's stuff where it's like, wait a minute, what's happening here? But you got to keep reading to get to
story,
it.
Yeah.
It's not all like right there, but that's the only thing where it's like, wait a minute, what is he talking about?
Yep.
Okay, let's keep reading. And as you go through, you're like, oh, okay, but wait a minute, now what? What else?
So I'll say this. So some people DM me and what you're describing, they'll be like, so wait a second, what you're saying is this. So what? I'm like, just keep reading. That's the point of the book is anyone that DMs me who's like, hey, do you have a link or whatever? I will send that 5 times faster than I could say, but if you're going to DM me asking for the story, I'm going to be not rude, but I'm going to be straightforward and be like, read the book. I promise you from start to finish, the conclusion, the ending, whatever you want to call it, you're going to feel, I think, a bit of satisfaction.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny that you said that because you're a podcaster as we are. And we've had people ask about episodes like, well, did you talk about this? And it's like, well, did you listen to the episode?
Yeah, exactly.
Like listen to it and your questions will be answered. So it's just so funny that like it happens with books.
Yeah.
Books, like you have to read it all. I get like reading it and not understanding something, but to just be like, so what happens?
Yeah. And I appreciate it because that means the reader is engaged.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't want to ruin I didn't write the book to also be like a commentary on the side. Like everything that is in there, I don't know, it's like 270 pages. Like it follows the Joseph Campbell 12 steps of the hero's journey, whatever you want to call it. Like I'm not, so it's I don't know, it's fun. What's interesting about writing a book is it's like it's a novelization of my memoir. So it's up to the reader to I like to label it a Rorschach test, meaning how far you are down whatever rabbit trail you find yourself in any given day. Might make you think, wait, is this real, or did this happen, or no. But wherever you are as the reader, that's what you're going to take in. I've left it up to the reader. As the author, I wrote the words. Now you as the reader take in what you need to take in order for you to feel what you need to feel in order to process the experience. And that's kind of what I was shooting for.
But isn't that what a good author does?
I don't know. It was my first try.
I think it was an excellent try.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
really like this book. Now, you're coming out with another one, right?
I'm in the process of writing my second book. The goal is December, and I will hit that goal. It might actually be sooner, but I gave myself a little bit of legwork just because I'm still. It's the sequel to Lucid Sacred Dreams, even though it's a fictional story. So I don't know. Figure it out. You guys come out, figure it out yourself,
Yeah.
but not you guys, but the listeners.
I'll figure it out. Yeah.
So it's still being written. Even just the other day, I just wrote a chapter dealing with somebody who I met. So we were just talking about this earlier, like meeting, like here we are physically in person meeting each other, and it's really
he's
cool.
real.
I'm real.
He's real. I'm touching him.
That's
He's
not
real.
CGI,
Yes.
And it's like, but there's still something as beautiful as to meet people online and to find like common ground and connection points and all that stuff. Like there's still something magical about just meeting people in person and like feeling, and that's probably why the whole 6 feet apart thing exists and all that stuff right now, right? We all know that. We don't even have to, whatever. But yeah, so I was in Arizona, I met somebody, and so that's what I was writing about, because it was able to really figure out what that experience was like for me in meeting them. And I don't know, it's just the sequel, it's all up in here. A lot of it's already written, and I'm gonna play a little bit more of linear time, because that's the thing that I'm trying to, in my own personal journey, I'm trying to completely shatter. And so as an artist, I guess that's what I'm exploring. So the sequel, it's going to be about everything we've all gone through collectively. It'll feature a lot of people that I've met along the way. Maybe you guys will get it. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe there's another chapter brewing tonight.
Hey.
But
he's like,
yeah.
I went to some really crazy people's house.
No,
I try not to judge, but damn.
So on my Twitter, I have Emissary 88. I got rid of Agent 88 because people get freaked out with words like agent these days. But 88 is an important number to me. It's double infinity. And it's just, I view it as, I see it a lot everywhere I go. I drive, I see it. I see it everywhere. And it's just crazy. Like if anyone spent a day with me, they would say, this isn't real. Like you're in a dream world, and maybe this is, who knows? But so I pull into your guys' place, and there it is. And I knew it. For some reason, I knew. I was like, I bet you I pull in and they're going to have an 88 on their license plate in their car. And I pull in, I'm staring at it. I laugh because that's what I do now. Because what else are you supposed to do?
What can you do?
And then even your neighbors to your right had an 88 in their license plate. So I'm just like, all right, I'm in the right place. I'm going with the flow of reality, and that's going to lead to, I hope, entertaining, fun podcast episode.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I made dinner and we didn't get food poisoning, so that's a bonus. That's a good start.
Yes.
Poor Conrad. I'm like, I'm trying something new. Those are
no, it was
scary
great.
words,
Because I was like, I'm vegetarian, and then the next day you're like, I'm making all this stuff and it's free. I'm like, all right, and then you had the audacity to be like, but if you don't like it, we can still order. I'm like, that's ridiculous. I'm like, I'm not gonna.
So I want to share this. So we're going back and forth. We're DMing each other, and you're like, because I'm talking about like, oh, I'll make food and everything. And you're like, well, I'm a vegetarian. And I wanted to pull up my big fat Greek wedding. What do you mean you don't eat no meat?
Right.
But I was like, it's not, I was like, that's okay. I make them. But I'm like, it's not going to translate over text the way it would in person.
I'll just be angry.
Like, no.
Well, I was in a line at a Chick-fil-A like 2+ years ago. It was like, you know how Chick-fil-A is. It's like, to the road. People are almost getting like in accidents just trying to pull over to a Chick-fil-A. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm done with meat. And so then I just walked away from it. Has like anyone, I'm not one of those people that's like, you got to do what I do. So it is what it is. It's just a personal choice for me, and it's worked. It makes sense. And I feel better. I don't know. It was a dietary change. So I guess maybe because I'm lazy, right? So I'm not going to go out and hunt my own food. Maybe we'll be getting to that though here shortly. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
With reality.
Yeah.
But so the lazy choice is to get like fast food, processed, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And I think I was probably getting sick and stuff from that a lot. So I just went away from it and it worked. So, and I haven't really regretted it. So I don't apologize to people who are like, you need meat. I'm like, I'm good.
You need to do what your body
Right.
needs to do. And we had the conversation. It's like I want to be a vegetarian,
Right.
but I crave meat.
Yeah.
And so it's like, obviously that's something that my body needs or thinks it needs. It's like, I don't know, just who cares?
Yeah.
It's not like we're eating children or something. It's
Right.
yes, it's I guess an animal's child, you could say.
Yeah.
But
I have some vegan friends that would go crazy with that statement.
I know. And I don't mean any harm.
Yeah.
I'm just saying though, it's like, we all do what we need to for our bodies.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
I think every journey is different.
Yeah. So it's like, I respect yours and I hope people respect mine. And yeah, but I was excited. I was like, ooh, I have a new recipe I want to try. And I was like, I hope this comes out good. Because in theory, in my mind, it would be good.
Right.
So
that was good.
Like,
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah. And like I've been, we've kind of changed our diet around for better digestion.
Yeah.
So not mixing certain things together. But I was like, yeah, trying to bring back a lot more raw vegetables because we tend to like overcook our vegetables and it loses all of the nutrition.
Right.
So it's like eating raw
is
best. And I did a salad one day. I had like spinach and raw asparagus. I have never had raw asparagus until that moment. And I'm like, it's just as good. Actually, I think I like it better than being cooked because then it's not like floppy. It's crunchy.
I think anything in regards to diet, it's like, are you pushing away, however, even if it's just like organic, grass-fed, whatever, beef or whatever, like, are you pushing away from what is consistently being pushed on to you as the only way to eat? I don't know. It's fascinating to me. Like, I think I saw something. I don't know if this is true, but it was like, I don't know the year number, but it was in the last century. It was like supermarkets weren't a thing, right? So it's like we're very recently in this world where it's just handed to us. We just go in and it's there and it's ready to go. And it's from these big, giant conglomerate farms sprayed. So it can be, traveled all, far distances and things like that. So it's like, do we even really know like physically what we're capable of or what we lost in comparison to what we're experiencing now? This is all we know, and it doesn't seem right. So I think anything that bucks trends and pushes back against the reality construct we're supposed to always accept as is a good thing. And I think everyone, when they're engaged in that, they kind of figure out what works for them along the way, and it doesn't have to be what Conrad does. It doesn't, it's what you figure out for yourself.
Yes, you do you.
Yeah.
Like I was saying,
we're starting a food podcast.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Foodies.
Ooh,
woke
yummy.
foodie, not woke. Awakened foodies.
Well, so last weekend I went to a women's retreat up in Maine.
Adriana. Yes.
And
who I just had on recently.
Yes, I know, that was such a good episode.
Yeah.
So I'm telling Conrad when he came over today, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm listening to that episode and I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah. Because it resonated so much with everything that I've gone through and like what you guys were discussing and the work that you have to do. And like the root chakra, everyone wants to get to the third eye and, the crown, but it's like, you got to start it. Like it's like the tower card in a sense. Like if you don't have that strong foundation, it's going to crumble.
Yeah.
So it's like, you need to like really work on a good foundation.
Yeah.
And that's hard. It takes work. It's hard.
I don't know if I'm even there.
I'm being honest.
I will say
hard.
this though. I'm looking forward to the day that I get to hear about when Alex shares with the world how he felt a flowing river coming from his third eye because he felt like it completely was burst open. I'm looking forward to that day because it's gonna happen.
I'm waiting for that day myself.
Yeah.
Because I always reading about just different like health, exercise, fitness, nutrition, that kind of thing. And I read recently, and I can't remember for the life of me where I read it, but if you take vitamin K2, it's supposed to help to decalcify the pineal gland and any damage that's been done from fluoridization or diet or whatever else. So I got some vitamin D and K2 in my cabinet right now, and I started taking it about 2 weeks ago, specifically for that reason, not because I think I'm deficient in D or K2, but just for that, because I'm like, I want to see if this works, if this does anything, because I want that. I want that. I see my lovely wife and hear all of her experiences all the time, and I'm just like, man, I want that. I want that too. So yeah, it's gonna happen soon, I'm sure.
The thing is, you get it all the time. You just don't recognize it.
I think that's the problem. I think you're right, because I get like hunches, I'll get feelings.
He calls stuff.
I'll like say, I bet you this is what happens next, and I'll just name a random situation and scenario. I usually can call it.
Right.
I don't know if that's third eye. I don't know if that's intuition. I don't know if that's just recognizing patterns. I don't know, but I do have a knack for calling things happening a certain way. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but
well, I mean, the pineal gland, like physically, there's something there, right? But the third eye is theoretically or truthfully dealing with the metaphysical, which is, intuition, which is like inner gnosis. It's a different realm of reality. So like you calling something like that, there's no physical reason why in that moment it sounds like you should be able to call whatever that is, but you do. So you're tapped into whatever part of what it means to be a human that for some reason for many years has just not been discussed. So there's something going on. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think he just doesn't give himself
Credit.
as much credit as he should.
Right. Yeah. And then I understand like wanting to feel, like I get that. Like if I lay down on my back with certain crystals and I meditate with my eyes closed, like I'm going to feel a heavy pulsing in that area. And it's like, I wonder if I wasn't having that, would I be as confident? So do I need that? I raise a whole other set of questions, so it's an interesting thing. And again, like you mentioned that the K2, like I had a shaman friend that told me about organic molasses and just taking a shot of organic molasses every single day. And I did that.
I love molasses.
and I think it helped. And I think something happened, decalcification is one of those hot topics on Twitter where everyone throws their opinion in without having any idea. But they try to make everyone have to buy into their narrative. And it's like, it might be a thing. It might not be a thing. There's people there that say that it can't be a thing because you it's like, you can't stop what it is. Like it's either there or it's not, right? I'm doing a poor job explaining this, but I will say this is decalcification, even if that's not the proper verbiage. And let's just say that it isn't for the sake of argument, but just like if you work out your body physically, like you get in better shape, or if you eat unhealthy and you have a poor, you don't do anything physically, you're going to, gain weight and stuff like that. It's like, why can't a physical part of your body get out of shape? Yeah. That doesn't sound crazy to me. And if the proper verbiage is calcification, then so be it. But I'm kind of leaning towards, and I can't prove it, so it's a belief. It's like I'm of the understanding that as bad down as that thing could be, that it can come back, or it can be woken up. I think that's our connection. So I don't think we can get away from it.
Because people will say, like with sugar, sugar's really bad. I am like the sugar fairy. Like since I was a kid, I'm always like sugar. Yeah. And I don't think it hindered me at all. I think some people are just more predisposed, but I think when you cut out sugar, when you cut out fluoride, when you cut out a lot of the things that are supposed to be better, it doesn't hurt it.
Right.
Maybe it helps. Right. I don't know, but I kind of look at it like, what are they saying to cut out? Things that aren't good for you anyway.
Right. Right.
So worst case scenario, you're healthier.
At some point, like for me, it's like at some point I have to, like, not everyone is out to get me.
Yeah.
Not everyone is playing an angle. maybe some people out there diligently did some work in the name of quote unquote good, and they figured something out, and it's not bad advice. Like everything doesn't always have to be like, no, they're just trying to trick us to get us, like, you know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
I guess at the end of the day, you have to go with your gut,
Yeah.
with what feels right.
Inner knowing, for sure.
Yeah, because and honestly though, one thing like I've been really trying to share with people is just because something works for the majority
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So for the longest time, I thought something was wrong with me because like using crystals.
Right.
Oh, you should feel it in this chakra, and this one you should feel in this chakra. And I didn't feel it in that chakra. I felt it in this one. And it's like, am I broken? Am I doing it wrong? Am I
Right.
not connected? What's wrong? And then like I on my own had to learn like there's nothing wrong with me. It's just the way I resonate with these minerals, these rocks, these crystals. Doesn't make it wrong. It's just how my body responds. And I started like telling people that, and other people would say, I get the same thing and I thought something was wrong. And it's like, no, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just we're all different. Right. So you have to go with your gut. And if they're saying, oh, do this and do that so you can be better or whatever, but it doesn't resonate with you and it doesn't feel right, then don't do it.
Right.
Like why would you do it? To satisfy other people, to make them feel better about what they're saying? No.
Right.
Listen to your gut. Even like with tarot, like some of the cards are supposed to mean certain things, but that's not the information I get from them.
Right.
But when I read it, it's correct.
Right.
It doesn't make me wrong.
Well, tarot's interesting to me because I feel like it's not a dirty trick, but there is somewhat of a trick in the sense, the way I understand it. It's like those cards are there trying to pull out what is already in your subconscious that you know. So when certain cards are pulled, or a card is pulled, and that initial, if you're pulling for yourself anyways, and if you have a thought, like you're going to initially have a feeling of what is from that card. And it's like, can you learn to trust?
You have a friend.
I know, I love it. It's like, can you learn to trust what you are initially feeling? Because I think deep down, and I think tarot works to pull by using the external to pull into the internal. And I think it's a cool thing. That's why it's funny when people like get scared over. I'm like, you're crazy.
Well, people get upset too, because sometimes it's telling people the truth that they don't want to hear. Right. They're not ready to hear or face themselves. So I've done readings for people and I kind of call them out on their shit. I try to do it in a nice way, right. But it's like, this is what you're doing. See, like, how I don't know you. How would I know this? Right. And they're like, I know, but
I'm afraid to get a reading from you.
No, but they're like, I know, but it's like, but nothing.
Yeah.
Like you have a choice.
Right.
Do you want to face it? Do you not? Do you want to do this? Do you not? So it's just kind of like, but with that subconscious too. Yeah. Like a lot of people, like they know, it feels like they know. Maybe they just need somebody else to say it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because my cards tell me stuff. And it's like always like when it's telling me the same thing, it's like,
yeah,
I know, I get it. Stop, shut up. Like that's not the answer that I wanted. Like waiting for a different answer, but I don't get it.
Yeah. I think like I just had it like when I was driving down here, I talked on the phone to my friend Kara Mosier. She's got like her own podcast.
Yeah, you were on her show. It was great.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I was talking to her and we were talking about like this idea of like, it's not a good business model, but it's probably what's right in the sense of it's like people that we impact, that we, reach out to us or like whatever we inspire. Like my goal isn't to make you a lifetime customer of Conrad.
Yeah.
My goal is to be a voice off in the distance that for whatever reason you connect with. And then at some point you move on because ultimately the goal is everyone realizing everything they have is within.
Yeah.
The power is within. So if you, enjoy me, if you enjoy me, but 15 years from now, if you still need me, then you've turned me into an idol. You've turned me into an external savior. You've turned me into the hero model, which is how this entire world works. Who's our president? If this person's in charge, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
It's like, no, if I worship this person, then I'm going to be saved. you know, and that's going to make a lot of people angry, but it is what it is, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, who's my, I don't know if my boss is going to give me time off, you know. It's like that's what we're trained to understand. We're trained to understand that it's something else always determining your every moment. And the more on my own journey, which is imperfect and always in a state of learning and moving, pushing forward and figuring out what's next, it's the best moments of my life are when I let go of any sort of attachment whatsoever. Doesn't mean I'm like some nihilist who isn't like, it's all meaningless. No, it's like, I don't have to rely on some religious totem in order to be free. I don't have to rely on some economic model in order to be free within. I don't need to rely on a flag or anything along those lines. So it's just, you know, we're at an interesting point in history. And we were talking about a lot this, you know, earlier tonight. It's like, we're at a kind of a tipping point, and it's a beautiful thing because, like you were saying, in the chaos, there's opportunity. And I think anyone listening, they understand that we are at it might, you know, the thing that is trying to control us, all that's doing is it might create more chaos. And that's actually a potential for a powerful thing, a powerful change.
Advantage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just went on a rant there. Sorry.
I do like me some chaos.
Yeah, you are the chaos queen, that's for sure.
I can't help it. It's all about balance. Like you need like some good healthy chaos every once in a while, but like you had just said, we can seize that as an opportunity. Like you can take chaos and look at it as this big scary thing and oh no, or you can say like, I'm going to use this as an opportunity.
Right.
The choice is yours, you know, like it's whatever works for you at that time. But I'm trying to look at it like whatever happens in the chaos of it, I want to try to take advantage of any opportunity that I can to try to make things better.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that works for me.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of chaos. All right. So I am totally like not, I've moved on, but I'm still a fan of professional wrestling. Right.
Sorry.
No, I know, right?
Wait a minute, now or like
Not
old stuff?
Old stuff.
Okay.
Old stuff.
Okay.
To the point to where I actually like, this is just recent. I find myself, because they have like those little YouTube podcast clips of like old time bookers and stuff talking like about past, and I like find myself, because you know it's like going back to my childhood.
Yeah.
But so when I was, I don't know, probably like 13 or 14, the church, this church group, we would record a professional wrestling like event. Like, yeah, so we would all dress up. So that year, or the year that I did it, rather, is I was like a couple like we would do different characters and we do like a whole show, and I was X-Pac from DX. But so what was funny about it is I was pretty much the same height, but I was a lot skinnier then, but I was one of the smaller people there. So what happens when you're the smallest person in an amateur wrestling event? Everyone wants you to take their bumps because you can get lifted. Right. Mm-hmm. So I probably took like 50. What I'm not the expert. So anyone out there that isn't familiar with a bump, how would you describe a bump?
It's wrestling terminology for taking a fall. You know, you either, I mean, there's a front bump, which is you land on your face. There's a back bump, which is when you land on your back. But yeah, bump is just a fall.
Yeah. So I probably took like 50 of those that day. And then it was fun though. I had a lot of fun. But the next day, like I couldn't move. So I don't know how did you ever how did you exist in that world without feeling like you were dying next day?
When you did these bumps, were you taught how to properly do them?
No, I just took them.
Well, I mean, even properly taking them, I think, well, I always go back to how amazing the human body is.
Okay.
Because that's the only thing I can say is we are capable and able to withstand so much more than we are led to believe.
Right.
Now, I'm beat up pretty good, but I also, at my age, I'm going to be, how old am I going to be? 43? No, I'm going to be 43. Hold on.
43 now, 44.
I'm going to be, okay. I'm going to be 44 in a couple months. And I feel fine. I actually feel better now
Wow.
than I did when I was wrestling. And I think that's just a combination of diet and just, continuing to exercise and not allow myself to just be like, I'm done. So I'm not wrestling anymore. So I don't have to take care of myself.
Like the Wally people.
Yeah,
the
Wally.
Wally people.
Wally movie.
But no, I mean, I with wrestling, the more you do it, the better you get at not taking as many bumps. And that's not, I can't speak for today's wrestling, but
right.
It's more so you learn how to, in wrestling terminology, work better, which means working is the stuff you do between the moves, between the bumps and the falls.
The
so
story.
Exactly. Yeah. So you get better at that, and you still take bumps, but you learn to take them when they mean something,
right?
When they mean more. So I mean, I can't say that I never took bumps. I took plenty of them, but when I took them, they meant something. The people that were watching were reacting, whether it was to cheer or boo, depending on what we were trying to get across in the match. But yeah, the body calcifies; it gets used to the trauma, the abuse. And I mean, I've heard it. I don't know if I agree with this or not, but I've heard that every time you take a bump, it's almost equivalent on your body as getting into a minor car crash. I don't know if I buy that.
Right. I've heard that about football, like a football hit.
Yeah. But I mean, those guys too. I don't know who's got it worse, pro wrestlers or football players. I don't know. I know wrestlers do a lot more in terms of volume because I don't know. Like I said, I don't know about today, but I know back in the day, if you will, when wrestling was actually good, they were wrestling 300 nights a year,
right?
Sometimes more than that. So I don't know. And wrestlers go year round. There's no off season,
right,
for pro wrestling. It's constant. So yeah, I don't know how I did it. I loved what I did. I was in pain for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was just a love for what I was doing, which is so weird because I look back on it now. It's like I'm thankful for everything I went through.
Yeah.
It was what I wanted to do, and I did it. But I look back and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking for half of this stuff? Because man, some of the stuff I did was just not smart. But yeah,
everything, wrestling psychology, like the promos, taught me everything I needed to know today about mainstream media news.
Oh yeah.
You have you're watching like a Hulk Hogan, and he's like, at WrestleMania 12, I'm going to go into the squared circle and I'm going to take you down, which will be on pay-per-view for $59.99 at the Thunderdome. Yep. WrestleMania, I'm going to beat you up at WrestleMania for $59.99. And it's like, it's like when you turn on the media and they're like, breaking news. Sources, according to experts, say that the Delta variant is 500 times. Let me repeat, 500 times more dangerous than the original variant. Again, to repeat, Delta variant is without a doubt more dangerous. It's the same exact principles at play.
It's essentially it's marketing, man. All of it. That's all it is. It's marketing. It's learning how to different patterns that people can remember better, that will resonate with people better. Yeah, that's all. I mean, that's what promos were for when they allowed guys to actually connect with people and do their own thing. Now everything is scripted. Nobody can go off script, if you will.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, back when Hulk Hogan was doing those guys, they could just talk.
Right.
They'd say, okay, you're wrestling Hacksaw Jim Duggan tomorrow in Madison Square Garden. Go 2 minutes, go. And then just go and talk. And a lot of times, some guys didn't know what the hell they were talking about. You could tell who was a good promo and who was a not so great promo. But I mean, geez, Roddy Piper, the Macho Man. I mean, those guys don't exist anymore. Nobody even close to that anymore. And because they're just not allowed to be that way anymore, which is too bad. But
I think I would have been good at promos. I think I would have been a good manager.
I was going to say you could have been a good manager.
I was going to say, manager. Yes.
There you go.
This 350-pound bodybuilder next to me. And then I would have so much fun doing the little hijinks on the side.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a good time, man.
Look out, Bobby Heenan.
Yeah. Exactly.
Here comes Conrad.
I gotta say, there is nothing like getting a room full, a hall full of people, stadium full of people. There's nothing like getting people to boo you.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
It's so weird.
You know,
it's so fun.
I had one incident kind of like that. I was playing basketball in some league growing up, and it was towards the end of the game, and we were losing, so we had the foul to get them on the foul line, hoping they miss, so we get the ball back and try to make a comeback. And the coach told me to foul. So I was probably, I don't know how old I was. I was a teenager. So I had to foul quickly. So I just like two-handed pushed, like shoved. And apparently this person wasn't very strong because they went flying into the bleachers to the point to where the whole crowd went like a loud visible gasp. And then like I had to get pulled from the game. And I was like, I didn't really think that I fouled the man that hard. And then funny, my senior year of high school, varsity basketball game, it was a road game. And I was a fast break, and it was this kid, and I knew when he was going to go up to jump. And apparently he didn't know how to jump, because suddenly I literally, like, my kneecap was at his head. Like, that was the same, like, now I didn't hit him. This is where it gets funny. So this kid knew that I was going to like block his shot tomorrow. And and he, I swear to God, he like had the most scary looking face of like someone in fear, just like he froze and he fell on his back, and I didn't touch him. But since he fell so bad, the ref called a foul even though I didn't touch him, and then I got booed again. So I have a natural ability to get people, riled up.
There you go. I'm telling you,
you don't even have to do anything. You just have to be there.
Sometimes I just got to show up, and people don't like my face.
Oh, no, I was going to say, see, you carry that chaos too.
Oh, yeah.
You just have to be there, and
Heyoka.
chaos happens around you.
It's in my blood.
Tell us a little bit about that.
No, so the Heyoka's Heyoka is like, it's a Native American jester or a clown, like in some, like the Lakota people and stuff like that. And they actually, obviously it was a kind of like a calling to the people. And in certain parts of history, especially the parts where, there's devastation happening as expansionist colonialism was taking place. And the Heyokas played an important role of bringing joy into tribes that were going through tragedy. And so when I call myself a Heyoka, I like to make people laugh, even though that we're in a time period of Earth where if you're paying attention, it's like stuff's happening. It's kind of undeniable. And newsflash, power likes to keep power, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shocker.
We've learned that, haven't we?
So it's like, all right, so what do? Do we fall into the misery of it, or do we acknowledge it? Don't deny it, because that's something that people are also very good at. It's nothing's happening. It is what it is. It'll just magically work out. I'll just put my, like the ostrich in the sand, just put my head in there. And, I'm not a fan of that either, but it's like, okay, stuff's happening, but can we still find a way to enjoy the journey nonetheless? And what role can I play as a person in that too? So yeah, the ability to entertain, make people smile in the midst of the insanity, to me, that's like, that's like carrying on the lineage of what it means to be a Heyoka. Yeah.
And you are really funny. And
thank you.
so I talked to
Good night, everybody. We're
no,
gonna right
and I was going to say, before you, put yourself down, like in a good way.
Yeah.
No, like I listen to your show and you joke around.
Yeah.
I feel like you do a good job being your authentic self and kind of not really caring, like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
This is my sense of humor. And I don't know, it's great because I listen to your show and man, you're always like the things that you say. I'm always like, I feel like I'm learning and I'm gaining new perspective, and it gives me goals like, yeah, like he's got a point, or I didn't think of it that way. And it's like, man, he always like has such a knack for just putting it in such a wonderful perspective that we don't always think about. And then I like personally, I'm like, now I feel kind of like an ass for not thinking of that or thinking that way, but it's a good
Guilt
thing.
Brought to you by the Catholic Church.
I know, but no, it's like this. It's good because it motivates me.
Right.
Like more possibility.
Yeah.
Like this
yeah.
is there.
Yeah.
And I was here, and just by listening to something he said was like, fuck, okay, yeah, that's awesome. And like I was saying before, like with you, like sometimes I feel like with what you say, I'm kind of parallel. So we're along the same lines, but
Right.
you're just kind of like in a different lane with it. But it's awesome, like a great way of thinking. And you put things in such a good perspective and you do it with such a good sense of humor. It's not like, oh gosh, like this is so heavy and
That's
it's a
what
lot to
editing's
take
for.
in.
Let me
No,
cut out these 3 minutes that you guys will never hear where you would have got to that point.
no, but you make it fun
Right.
and
Well, thank you.
uplifting, I think is a good way to put it.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess not to toot my own horn, but like
Toot it. Go
anything
ahead.
I'm talking about is stuff that's going through my head. Obviously, that's a no-brainer, but it's stuff I've also like examined. And so I'm not just sometimes like you are kind of like you find your flow and you just go and what comes. But if I'm taking a strong stance, for example, on something, it's because I've gone through it. I've looked at all the sides and I've made a personal determination on what I feel is right for the moment for me. So why wouldn't I share it? So often, I feel like, what I've noticed lately is a lot of people have replaced how's the weather or how's the, how about that weather today? The throwaway meaningless line with stay safe.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone, I think there's a conditioning there, or maybe it's a fear thing, or it's just like, not wanting to express yourself because of whatever, but like we're conditioned, it seems like, to just latch on to like 5 or 6, I don't know the exact number, obviously, of like just throwaway statements to keep the ball moving, but it has nothing to do with what we're thinking, what we're feeling, or what we're trying to actually get across is what it means to be a human.
And I love that you put like the stay safe, because that's something I've always said, but that's like the mama bear in me.
Sure.
And when I say it, I just don't mean it as a throw. Like I am like envisioning protection around you, like bubble of protection
Right.
into the collective. But no, like a lot of people, they just say it.
It's the new statement.
Yeah.
And
And
it's like it's meaningless.
Exactly. Like, have you ever hugged somebody?
Only on Tuesdays.
No, and it just feels so like, are you even like, I feel like
I hugged you guys when I came in the door.
Okay, no, like I'm trying to get to my foot, like where it feels like I would have gotten more emotion from a mannequin in a department store.
Yeah.
So like you hug them and it's just like, I'm sorry, am I inconveniencing you by this hug?
Well, hugging for me, so I'm raised in the Northeast, French Canadian, half French Canadian, but I was raised in the French Canadian side of my family, and also half Native American. So we're not really like lovey-dovey. It's very, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like distanced. Not that there isn't love there.
Yeah.
But it's just not like, it's like there's a distance to it. So I'm not used to that. And then the Northeast is a different beast than the rest of the country. So even like hugging people that's been a learning process for me. Now I'm like, yeah, like if how you doing, hug. But I remember coming across those kind of people on my own journey and me being the recoiler, like, oh, this is a thing.
Well, there's a difference between recoiling,
sure,
but just kind of like a hug where there's just no feeling.
Oh yeah, it's just another. It's just
what you do. Oh
procedure,
yeah, whatever.
ritual.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's like when I like so okay, French Canadian.
Yeah.
But like it was weird because like I feel like there's a lot of love in my family. My meme was actually the one of the people like who talked about like she'd make cookies and she'd say, do you know why they're so good? And I'd look at her like, why? She goes, because I made them with love. It was like, yes. But that's kind of like, I don't know, but yes, there was like distance there. But I think for me as the granddaughter, I don't know. But I just, when I was little, I would hug everybody. I'd hug the bus driver, but it was like people I felt called to hug because there were people I didn't want to hug.
Sure.
But it's the people I felt.
Doctors, psychologists.
No, like you ever
lawyers,
just meet people and you're just like, bad vibe.
Yeah.
They don't get a hug.
Yeah.
But the loving people, I don't care if I don't know you, I could feel the love. And it's like, you get a hug. And I remember my mom and dad being like, Monique, you can't hug everybody. I'm like, but I want to. It's, like trying to explain it. It's like, we don't do that. But that just like, we don't hug everyone.
And shout out to all the doctors, lawyers.
Yes, I'll hug you.
You're all great. I was only kidding. You're the most beautiful people on planet Earth.
Yes. You keep us out of jail and alive.
There you have it.
But no, but yeah, so it's just like, So it's just funny that you said that, like with the French Canadian. But yeah, like sometimes like it's just we go through these motions, or people go through these motions, and there's nothing in it. It made me think of like hugging somebody who just like doesn't care. Because like when I hug, I put like my love into it, because it's that energy exchange through touch. But I've learned not everybody feels that way.
No.
So like, and you can tell when they don't. But yeah, like we go through these motions, people, humans, they go through these motions and there's nothing attached. Like if I ask you, how was your day?
Yeah.
It's because I truly want to know
Right.
how your day was.
Yeah.
Not like, or hey, how's your day? And oh yeah. You know, like don't give it.
Yeah, it's like meaningful interactions in a world where it's like even it seems like it's doubled down. I don't know the exact percentage, but you go out there these days and it's like everyone's just it's like we've quote unquote reopened, but have psychologically, mentally, have we reopened as a society, or is it even more shut off than say month one of quote unquote lockdown?
But are people afraid to express how they really feel?
I don't know.
Do they fear, you know, if people disagree with what I say, I'm going to get backlash, and it's easier just to avoid saying how you feel so you don't get backlash.
It's tough because it's like for me, it's like I've moved past that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like obviously I have a podcast. Like I have no problem putting my thoughts out there for everyone to hear about.
But it's different in person too.
Yeah, that's true. It is
like
true.
Going out to the store.
Yeah.
And, you know, hearing two people argue over something, and, you know, and then kind of just being like, you're both asshats, but, you know, you don't want to hear my opinion.
I don't know. I think it's the trick of this place. I think, you know, I just think we're in a new era. I hate that, you know, the new normal, all that nonsense, but it's like you have to be really active, like proactive rather, with how you want to exist now in terms of like a sovereign being, and even expressing that. It's very interesting because we have everything is set up for us right now to not be sovereign whatsoever. And I mean, like, you know, you go, I don't drive around and it's like everyone's staring at their phone, you know?
Yep.
And even myself over the table, like, oh, I got to throw this thing. Like, why do I feel like I have to take this to the bathroom with me? I'm going pee. I'm standing up. I don't need my phone, you know, but it's like, so we're at like, and it's all it is like, I don't know. It seems like, I mean, obviously nefarious, whatever you want to call it, but there's also this element of, it's like they're giving everything that's being given to us right now that is making life easy is stuff that we want. Like I want to be able to go on to Amazon, click 2 buttons, and a day and a half later, I have magic item X that I ordered from I don't even know where delivered to my door. That's super simple. And now I can use that product. But it's like, what are we losing along the way? What's that changing us into? And how much intention as an individual do I have to be aware of this in order for it to not consume me completely? To where we were talking about earlier, we mentioned Wall-E earlier, where it's like my theory is like they're just trying to turn us into Wall-E, where we're just laying on our recliners with our touch screens and our super drinks, and we're all wearing red because that's who we voted for, and then suddenly everything's going to turn blue, but it's the same exact thing. A little, it's such a perfect allegory for politics.
Well, you asked, like, you know, what did we give up, like, you know, for that one click? Well, we gave up we gave up interaction.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
We gave up interacting with other human beings, because what happens when you need to get something? You go to the store. Either you make it yourself, or you got to go get the supplies, but you got to go out. You interact with people.
Yep.
You communicate with people. Typically, you run into people, even if it's just a cashier.
Yeah.
You lose that interaction. And then what happens? What do? We isolate ourselves. We're, you know, we talked about it where we're now so many people are, you know, like sardines packed in these small areas, and they don't know their neighbors.
Right.
They, you know, are surrounded by people they don't know. Why? nobody ever leaves the house.
Yeah.
Why? They don't need to. I can work from home. I can shop from home. Everything's delivered to my door. I don't need to leave my home. And it's like they just, and why don't we talk to our neighbors? Because we were instilled with fear.
Yeah.
Because you don't know them and they're strangers and they could cause you harm.
Right.
And it's just like, well, how do you know unless you talk to them?
Yeah. So I think if like people like us, if we stand for anything, whatever that even means, it's like, I think we're just trying to create a future where human connection remains a thing. You know, if it's that simple, it's like,
Yeah.
like the old ways of the good way, you know, it's like, it's funny. It's so it, if you want to merge with Neuralink, go right ahead. Just don't make me have to do it too.
Yeah.
You know, because that's not how I want to have my human experience. You know, if you want to make it so you have to rely on big pharma every 6 months to feel safe, go right ahead. But guess what? I've been healthy for the last 2 years, and I've driven across this entire country. I've visited just about every single state that you can imagine. And I can tell you this much, that what is being projected out there isn't reality. And what reality, I just had a friend the other day who is in Africa. They got out of Europe because they're like, it was crazy there. So they go to Africa, I forget what country, and they were just sending me these messages like, yeah, we haven't done anything here, or we're just living life normal. And they sent me a picture of a giant avocado that they had just bought, and there's like, Western civilization is so lost.
Yeah.
And it's like, was my friend a liar? Is my friend a CGI created AI character? No, I've met this person. And I was just thinking about the thing we were talking about earlier. I wasn't referencing that, but that I do want to talk about that. It's funny. But like this person is existing in a world that is completely different than what we are being given is what we have to have.
Yeah.
So it's like there's no denying that there's something at a minimum fishy happening, and addressing it head on and being sovereign beings and stepping into your personal power and looking the scene of what's being projected to us right in the eye and saying no. I think that's a powerful thing. And I think more people, if you're listening to this and you're in doubt that you're alone, you're not alone. In fact, I guarantee you there's more out there that are waiting for courageous people, because unfortunately we still are in that hero culture.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone's going to go within tomorrow. You know what I mean?
No, of course not.
So it's okay to be an example to others.
Yeah.
Just don't get lost in the way and think that you are the answer to them, because then that's how you get into, like, you know, the savior complexes. That's a whole other thing.
Not
Oh,
what
yeah.
we're here for. Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing. We can guide each other. We can
Yeah.
help from each other. We can learn from each other. But at the end of the day, the real hero is inside of you
Yeah,
and
that's
each and
it.
every person. It's not my job to, you know, to raise you up and lead the way and
Right.
fight the good fight. It's everyone has to do it. And that's how you know, move forward. That's how you evolve.
Yeah.
That's how you win, by everybody. And I think it all just starts with like a feeling inside, like something here isn't right.
Yeah.
And if you get your spidey senses tingling, like something's just off, something's
Yeah.
not right, boom, you've already done like one of the hardest things is like realizing, like,
Tapped into your
Yeah.
knowing.
yeah. And then just from there, that can be really scary too, because then you're like, oh no, like so many people are put in this awful position of having to make, like, lose your entire life or get an injection
Right.
or do this or do that, which is so unfair. Like, you have people who, like, they need to work so they can, you know, they have to work to pay their bills.
Yeah.
They're not happy with what they do, but they got to do it just to go through the motions and
Yeah.
survive. And even that's difficult. And then they're put in this predicament of, oh, you got to do this or you can lose your job. And it's
Right.
like, who the fuck are you to put that upon somebody and
Right.
make them choose like that? But at the end of the day, and I've said this for the longest time, we all have a choice.
Yep.
And if it really goes against how you feel, maybe that is the universe presenting this choice to you to say you can do better.
Mm.
You need the swift kick to the ass.
But no, that's not how it works.
It's the tower card,
I'm just
baby.
kidding.
Things
Yeah.
are crumbling. It's gonna suck falling down, but you'll be okay when you land,
Yeah.
and then you rebuild.
There's something too. I love the phoenix rising from the ashes analogy.
Mhm.
And I've had a lot of synchronicities on my drive across the United States. But what was funny was when I just pulled into this parking lot in front of this restaurant when I got to where I'm at now. And there was no joke. It was the symbol of the Phoenix rising, like an art. And then underneath it, and it had 4 letters, it spelled the word real. And it's like, wow, like, you know, I know from my journey, I'm experiencing something. I'm experiencing a metamorphosis, a change for what's next. And I don't think it's because it's the end. I think it's the next step of learning, of beginning, of starting. I think we have this opportunity here to, I don't know. I'm like meeting you guys in person. It's just like, it's just nice to know that there's other people out there, that they're real and they're there. But
For real?
yeah, they're real. I can confirm. You don't have to. No, I don't know who's tweeting out there right now, but they're real.
Our kids that were running around
yeah.
screaming at each other earlier are real.
The cats are CGI. All right, you got us there.
The cats, like, I don't know if you noticed, like, so I'm really allergic to them, but especially one. And like my eyes started getting itchy, and I'm like, oh, please don't let my eyes swell up. I'll look like Quasimodo. It's real.
But so, because I kind of like, I got off track because it came to my mind. But Alex, you mentioned you told me that a very interesting theory about what could be very well unreal on the internet in terms of interaction.
Yes,
I would love to hear that again.
So I heard, there was a researcher, Tracy Twyman was her name. I say was because she is no longer with us. So she did a lot of research about into money and the creation of money, alchemy. She has a book out on Baphomet, and a lot of the elite bloodlines and that kind of thing. So she went real heavy and deep into her research, and it was really, really the stuff that I was able to read really good.
Yeah.
And she'd had a couple of issues where she was on Coast to Coast AM and she got kicked off. They cut her interview off when she started talking about Michael Bloomberg, the billionaire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So I think she made a lot of enemies of people in high places just because of the stuff she was exposing and writing about. And for a time, I think it was in 2017, she went off the internet. Like you couldn't see her on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. She wasn't posting anything on her website. And everybody was wondering, where'd she go? What happened to her? And then she resurfaced about 6-7 months later. And actually she did a podcast on it, and I have it recorded somewhere. I thankfully saved it because everything of hers is like wiped off the internet now, like most of her stuff. And she said in her comeback, I guess, interview that the internet is compromised. And she said that her entire time that she was dark off the web where no one could see her, that she was having interactions with friends on Facebook, like her Facebook friends, family members, people that were not close to her area wise in proximity, but that she would interact with online. She would have conversations with them, exchange emails back and forth, and went about her life like normal. Would post things that apparently nobody was seeing because everybody thought she was, nobody knew what the hell was going on with it, but she was putting things out on her profiles and things like that. And then she happened to just see somebody that she was interacting with online in person, and they were like, "Where you been? What are you?" And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And that's when she realized, after talking to this person for a while, that she was not talking to this person, but she thought she was. And the person's like, "No, you haven't been talking to me." And the other part of that was that she was making phone calls to people, but was for some reason unable to ever get anybody on the phone when she would call from her home or from her cell phone. She realized something was going on, and she went and used a phone. I believe it was at a store or a restaurant or something, but she used just another phone to call somebody and then got through. And then she realized, oh my gosh, like they're messing with me, or I've been put into some kind of weird thing where I'm just interacting with an AI now, and I'm not talking to any of the, and for whatever reason, she was able to get put back online. I don't know if it's because she figured it out. I don't know the exact reason how she got back online, if you will, where everybody could see her. But yeah, her testimony, her story was that she was interacting with people that she wasn't really interacting with, but she thought she was.
Right.
And she was hypothesizing that it happened to her because of her research, things she wrote about, but that could it be that all of us
Right.
are not interacting with who we think we're interacting with?
Right.
Are we interacting with bots, with AIs? Depending on what kind of things you put into your internet search engine,
Yep.
the type of websites you visit, books you read, maybe are we being segregated somehow online? And are we really talking to who we think we're talking to? Are we really seeing the things that maybe we're just meant to see because of some kind of program that we're interacting with online? So every time you pick up your phone, we know that you can get advertising and stuff like that, like targeted to you because your phone listens to you.
Yeah.
We know that's real.
I've had thoughts. I've had a thought and then it shows up on my phone.
I've heard that. That has never happened to me.
And I'm like, whoa, that's
crazy.
Yeah.
But I've heard other people have that experience.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
So it's like, what's really going on here?
Yeah.
And then, I think how do we counter that? Let's just say that's 100% true, right? Just to play with it. Ultimately, it's like the digital reality versus like an organic physical reality. Right. And that seems to what's like there's a back and forth with it right now and what that all means. And it's like at some point, everyone who's tweeting all these great tweets, everyone who's posting on Instagram, all these great things about the truth and the revolution, is like eventually that actually is going to have to play out physically, or else we're just going to be just as digitally lost as they want us to be. So that's where the action. And it can get tough because now we're back into the realm where if we want to create a community, if we want to do something, Amazon's not going to be there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
These things that have made our lives so convenient, they're not coming along for the ride. The school systems aren't coming along for the ride. And maybe it really is forging ahead and creating almost like going back to tribes or things of those, of that nature. And you find your tribe, but eventually it's, at least for me, it's like you're going to have to get past the digital coming together and actually have the physical action, or else it's going to be all for naught. It's just going to be what it is.
Absolutely.
Agreed. And I wonder too, this kind of just popped into my head. I wonder too, if that's why, like you were saying, people that post on Twitter and Instagram, the truthers and that kind of thing. I wonder if that's why so many different ones are allowed to stay on, and how some you get shadow banned or whatever, but some are allowed to stay on. I wonder if that's because those are the people maybe that if they didn't have that outlet would be actually doing something physically, would actually be taking action. And this maybe has them treading, running the treadmill, if you will, running the hamster wheel, just kind of spinning their wheels. Yeah, they're putting stuff out there, but that's all they're doing.
Right.
What's that really doing?
Because even the inverse of that, I first noticed that with things that I'm against, like last year, right? With just like, or not even against, it's like, I see it for what it is. It's not an honest expression of what they're pretending to be. And it's like, people would just, 10,000 likes on this social thing. Right. And it's like, okay, but what was, I'll give you just came to my mind. I saw this tweet once and it was this person. It was like, somebody they're doing a commentary on capitalism, and they were like, somebody came to me today and I said, what if we just planted a bunch of trees with fruit on it on sidewalks, and then that way we could help feed the homeless? And then a person said, yeah, but how would they still wouldn't have money to pay for it, so how would that be profitable? And then the conclusion of their tweet was, and that's what's everything is wrong with capitalism. And then they got like 25,000 likes. But it's like, that person who did that tweet, did they go out and plant trees?
Well, here's the thing. So I saw somebody tweeted about that. And I was like, well, first of all, you can't go do it on the side of the road, because anytime, like, that's why you never wildcraft off the side of the road, because you have all the exhaust from the cars. So like, this is where my mind's going.
No,
like, that's
great.
not healthy. Don't do it on the side of the road where the cars are. You have to like go somewhere. But then also somebody brought up like what I was thinking, who's going to take care of them? You have to water them. You have to care for them. Sometimes depending on what you're growing, it needs to be stabilized. So you need to put spikes in or it's going to
Right.
flop over. There's all these little things.
Right.
I mean, nature works itself out naturally.
Right.
But if you're going to plant stuff, it's not in that natural location that does what it does.
Right.
So I'm just like going through all these thoughts in my mind, like, well, it's a great idea, but like you have to do all this work. And like also if it's on the side of the road, like the government
Right.
could take it down.
But so let's just say it was a better formed idea this individual had. Does the fact that it got 25,000 likes, let's just say,
how many people are going to go plant that
right,
tree?
or just the person that did the tweet,
Yeah.
did the fact that they went viral with that tweet fulfill the humanitarian desire that they were feeling when they made that tweet? See what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
so the emotional energy for change that they had was parlayed into the digital realm where it doesn't matter. And so nothing happened. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's taking our good intentions and it's sucking it in because the gratification is coming in an arena that we feel that we've given importance to, but it really isn't important.
The real gratification would be, why don't we do
Doing
this?
it.
Do it.
Yeah,
Take pictures showing what you did, and then say, I challenge everyone else to do it too.
So I think so that's what I mean. Like, it has to come back to the physical.
It does.
It really does, because that's until we're merged with AI and we're connected to Neuralink and we go deeper into the matrix. We're here.
Hey, I saw the Terminator. Okay.
Like, we're here. We're in this physical realm, and there's people out there like us that we're starting to feel that pull and that call to move away from what is being seemingly attempted to be forced down our throat. So who out there is going to do it? Are we going to do it, or are we just going to be satisfied with this podcast episode talking about it? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I come back to creative truth. That's like my center point, is like, what is the thing that gives you passion? What is the thing that maybe you listening out there have stopped doing that you love to do? Because like we were saying, like, it takes a community, and this isn't like some Hillary Clinton nonsense. Like, it's like, in a community, in a tribe, there's different skill sets. There's different things that come into play. There's different aspects of it. And I guarantee anyone out there who is connected to themselves, know thyself, that they have something to offer that isn't going to require the Amazon, isn't going to require the big government, isn't going to require any of that. And if that makes me an extremist, good. Because I'd rather be an extremist in a world instead of living my life like I'm an extra in Wall-E.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Because like we were having this conversation, if you can't physically do something, you might be able to teach, you might be able to like show people what to do. You might be there as just somebody who's really good at listening for when we need somebody. There's so many roles that can be filled. It's not like you all have to like work with your hands and work on the farm and grow the food. There's just so many things that need to be done together as a community to help each other out. And so if anyone has that in mind, that that's something they want to do, don't think, well, I don't know how to grow food. I don't know how to, I don't know animal husbandry. I don't know how to build houses. Doesn't mean you can't contribute.
Right.
We all have something to contribute. And you nailed it when you said know thyself.
Yeah. Like,
you got to really look into yourself and know your value and know your worth and know there is something. There's always something. We're always birthed with something that we can contribute.
Which is why I'm going to start a weed tourism commune.
There you go.
There it is, everybody.
There you go.
Blockbuster announcement.
Yeah.
You live in your best you.
Mr. Conrad.
No, but even, so I think it's cool. Like, Adriana up in Maine, and you just had a retreat.
I did.
Yeah.
I'm wearing the necklace she gave me.
Please,
I love her.
Please share some of the stuff, because
that's
an example of moving from the digital into physical and meeting people. And I think that's important,
And with what we're talking about, I probably would never know who she was if it wasn't for you.
Right.
Because nothing ever came up on social media. Yeah. So it goes back to the whole, like, are we being blocked by location where we can only really communicate with people far away? Yeah, she's a few, like less than 3 hours away. So it's just kind of like the only reason we met was because of you,
Right.
which thank you, because you set up a group online meditation. And the first night that we did it, she was guiding it,
Yep.
and she did an amazing job. And from that, I was like, I just got a really good feeling from her. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go find her. And I found her on Twitter, and we started communicating, and she's become a friend.
Right.
And I love her. She blows me away. She's just an amazing human being. So if anyone listening hasn't listened to Conrad's show with Adriana Divine on it, please listen. Adriana also has her own podcast, The Love Matrix, which is on Spotify. Check it out. But she's just an amazing human being. And so she worked with another woman, Lindsay, who runs the Nomad Retreat Center. And together they put a women's retreat, like a weekend retreat for women. And it was just amazing what they did. It was like pay what you can. It was like a scale, just whatever you can do. If you wanted to stay inside, or you can camp outside. And I'm like, okay, I don't have any camping gear. I'm gonna stay inside. So I paid for that. But yeah, no, and like you can bring food if you want. So like I went to Whole Foods and like got stuff and brought it with me. But it was really cool because it was like, I could bring my organite, you can bring your cards, and it was just like I showed up on that weekend and very outside my comfort zone, leaving my family for the first time, like for more than just like a few hours. That's
big.
That was huge. Just thinking about, like, it was so hard to leave. Like, I just wanted to cry because like getting in the car, I like missed my family. And that first night, like I had told you, growing up, I noticed anytime you get a lot of females in one group, they usually pick one or two people in the group to pick on and just be awful to.
Right.
I was typically one of those people. And so it keeps your guard up because like you feel good energy. Like, man, I was like, first time meeting these people, having these amazing conversations where I don't have to like preface it with, okay, now you might think this is crazy, or like we're talking about like real woo woo shit, and like we're just boom diving in, and we don't have to pause and explain. Like we know what we're talking about, and that was awesome. Like, whoa, this is great. But yeah, so like just everyone accepting everyone and embracing everyone as they are. First night, I'm kind of like guarded, but by the next day, I was like, okay, yes, this is great. And it was just like, there's so much healing that took place, like for me with a lot of stuff, releasing my guilt. Like I felt, that guilt for feeling, for leaving my family.
Right.
Like I'm leaving my family to do something for myself. I'm selfish. Letting go of that guilt. We talked about, a lot before about letting go and how hard it is, but it's so relieving once you let go. Like I always feel guilty about charging people for like tarot readings and organite and hypnosis. Like I don't want to charge people, but we've said it, we live in the 3D world.
Yeah.
So we have to, like, I'm investing money.
Yeah.
So
it's time
it is what it is.
Yeah.
But like letting go of that stuff was so therapeutic. It was so so healthy and good. And just being around such amazing women, like every single woman is just so unique and amazing in their own way.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, like, it's like we're all going through the same stuff. And then it's like, you realize it's like, we're not alone. And I met an amazing woman. I was like, she's my fairy godmother, like legit. So the first night there, taking everything in, and it's sunset and I'm looking at the sky, and I had asked dragons, like, will you please come and be there to protect us and guide us and ground us? And I'm looking at the sky and the sun, and I see in the clouds my dragons. And I'm talking to them, quietly in my mind, but I'm just like, thank you. Because I'm like, you're here. And I could just feel it, like this, like vortex, of energy.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it at our circle that night, like, the dragons are here. And then the next night, Liz, my fairy godmother, she arrives. Now, I've never met this woman. And I had my dragon head organite out. But before she even saw that, she's like, whoa, I feel like energy like swirling around us, like a portal or something. And my friend Amanda's like, Monique, she called in the dragons. They're here. And she stops and she looks. And like we had this moment. And she's like, I feel like I'm home. And we just hugged.
Yeah.
And I can't explain it. It was like, I felt like she's my family. Like we are connected. And I feel like it's from one of the realms before we incarnated on Earth. But it was like, I feel like we are family, maybe not from this life or this realm, but we are a family. And just like having this great conversation with her. She was so amazing. And like, she's like, you know, I don't like using the word psychic, but you know, she senses and feels and sees, and she's doing my henna. She's like, you are so protected. And I'm like, I know. Isn't it awesome? But like, then like she's doing my dragon and my sun. And like, it was just like, do what feels right. And we kind of went with what was going on. And in the dragon, she starts doing like these lines, like triangles. And she's like, I'm getting triangles. And I'm like, seriously? And she's like, yeah. I go, I always get visions of these triangles every time I meditate, like just always. And she goes, yeah. And she's explaining like they're changing shape and you see colors. And she's explaining what I always see in my visions. Yeah. And I'm just like,
that's pretty powerful and impossible, right? And impossible is it's the thing that seems like we're consistently, at least in programming, that we're supposed to believe is impossible.
Yeah.
But it turns out that maybe there's more to this story that meets the eye, and it might just be the thing that has been holding back humanity from remembering all that it's capable of being. I don't know how far back history truly goes or doesn't go. I don't know who they are. I don't know anything, but I do know this is when I look out, I see a system that is consistently trying to convince us that we need something else, be it a pill, be it a mortgage, be it a reputable career that you can tell people so that you can continue the conversation and talk about the weather and stay safe, right? But there's even the idea of magic is made to seem impossible, right? But
people look at it like it's ridiculous.
But then
childish.
But then meanwhile, you have these, billionaire trillionaires that use astrology as they mock astrology on the stock market.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like at some point, what we are being presented just isn't it. And that must mean there's something else. And that something else must be something that could be powerful for your experience. And you have every right as a human with free will to deny all of that and just play ball. And if you want to do that with your life, so be it. But I challenge anyone out there that there's a burgeoning, construct of thought that people are experiencing and feeling, and they're starting to wake up to aspects of themselves they didn't know were there. And that's something cool. That's something fun. And that's something powerful. So why not go a little cliff diving, let go, and maybe experience something you never, ever could have even imagined? How terrible of a journey and story is that?
But exactly, because like my little journey, driving to Maine, part of me didn't want to go. Even Friday night, part of me just wanted to go home.
It's like,
I miss my family.
Rain check.
Yeah, I miss my family. My family is secure and safe. It's comforting. It's what I know.
Yeah.
Here, I'm challenging myself and I'm putting myself out there and I'm exposing who I am as a human and, and being around other people who are doing that and having to have faith that we will all take care of each other and not hurt each other. And there's just so much that is a gamble.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be such an incredible weekend that I grew and I learned and I healed and I met so many incredible women that I would never have met them
right.
if I didn't take that drive, take that jump. And sometimes it's doing things that are scary or outside our comfort zone. It takes a little courage to do it, to go out there and put yourself out there.
Yeah.
But
the universe responds. Sorry.
It does.
I said that in.
Yeah, it does. But yeah, because when you do it, you will be rewarded in one way or another.
Yeah. And you come across people that it's almost, it's wild, because it's like the idea of the universe, and anyone can think what they want to think, but it's like you truly do start to meet expressions of your own self through other individuals. It's because you're connecting on this sort of energetic wavelength that matches. So there's almost like an inevitability to it. Like you're going to meet those that are feeling it too. And it's perfect. And the universe, it matches it, and it provides and it gives. And it's almost like you start playing a video game where you're unlocking different levels, and you find the key to this door. Now you're doing this, and it's like, oh, and then here's this character. And it's, I mean, I still question what all this is, obviously. And, I go back and forth and all this stuff, but it's like, I recognize myself as an eternal sovereign being, right? So how would I want to spend eternity? An adventure with challenges, with struggles, not always having it be easy, with creating a story that seems impossible at times, and learning along the way what it means to be a conscious, aware, being. I don't know how many times I've played this role. I don't know if this is the one time, or I don't know if this is, I'm stuck on a loop because I can't figure it out, but I'm here. Right. And when you start to, for me anyways, it's like I hate to use the word awaken, because like everything gets so overused, but it's like when you have this new awareness, it feels like a rebirth, and your consciousness goes into this. It's not better than anyone else, but it's different from what you were previously. And you can't look at the world the same. And it's inspiring. And it's like, oh, this is like a beautiful, this is like a beautiful feeling to have. Like, I don't know. I just, whatever it is, and ultimate, whether it's an expression of myself, or whether it's a creator, or it's a spirit, whatever you want to call it, it loves us for sure, whatever it is. So if you're loved, from the highest potential point of being, coming down to help you on this journey of remembrance, like that is, I don't know, it's overwhelming at times, and it makes sense a lot of times. And then sometimes it's a little frustrating, because it's like, where'd it go?
Yeah.
This is one of those moments. This is one of those moments where it's not feeling like that.
Well, one of the things you said too, like, so you talked about love, and you put some challenges out to people. One thing, like, I'll follow suit. I'm going to put a challenge out to people. I challenge people to find love, not just for the people that you like or love, but for the people who challenge you.
Sure.
For the people you want to punch in the face. Find love for them. Find love for complete strangers, because during my meditations, and I call them shower thoughts sometimes, but I've come down, I'm like, what is the point? It's about love and balance. There is the scale, doesn't tip both ways. It's that balance, and you need love. And so I know I sound like super hippie, but I don't care. I just, like, for me, it's like, if you can love people, even though they rub you the wrong way, if you can find love in your heart, if you can find love in your heart for people who have wronged you, to, let go, forgive. And I've said before, forgiveness isn't saying what they did was okay. It's allowing yourself to release it from you. So you don't, it's like not forgiving someone's like, drinking poison, expecting that person to die. Like you're only hurting yourself by holding on. And we've talked a lot about like letting go. And it's like, you gotta just let go, and then allow yourself to hold love. It doesn't mean like you have to like be in love with them. Just hold that space in your heart.
Right.
Because I look at it like we're all connected, and we talk about, we see parts of ourselves in other people. And it's like, I think that's for a reason. I mean, I see like people who, I've talked about it before, get on my nerves because it reminded me of me,
Yeah.
a part of me that I didn't like, the
Yeah.
old me, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard. So that even more, when I recognize that, I need to give them as much love as I can.
Yeah. Cause it's like that part of you, that expression of you, even if it was just in a moment, that in that moment you needed love and maybe you didn't receive it. And that's why that trauma or whatever it was there. So it's like it's that old saying, it's like this, like you can't solve a problem with the same level of consciousness that where it came from. You have to raise your own consciousness to solve whatever the issue is. And I am an imperfect person with the best of them, right? But when you like, for me, I find, like, at least in terms of karma, like when you kind of are doing what you should do, you're experiencing, you're pushing forward, you're doing all those things that you feel like are worthy. I feel like when I do like mess up or whatever, I feel like karma comes quicker these days.
Oh yeah. But sometimes like you think you're on the right path and then you think it's karma, but it's actually lessons that you need.
Absolutely.
Like, I am so thankful for my lessons, even though they really suck sometimes. Like
you.
in the moment, it's like, really? Seriously? Like, why? But I don't know. I always I try to recalibrate and try to be like looking at it. Like, what am I supposed to learn from this?
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't even have to say that. I just think about it. And it's like,
I was, when I was driving across the country, I spent the day in Salem, Massachusetts, spent the night there because I always never been there. I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
So I'm walking around. It's not that big of a place. And there's this lady on the side of the road who's like holding up a money sign, in need. And in my wallet, I only have 20s. So it's like, I want to help, but I don't want to help that much. They're not worth, if I had a 5, no problem.
Yeah.
But a 20 to someone on the side of the road, no, so it's like, it's funny, right? So I don't do it. A missed opportunity to help somebody when I was feeling the urge. I didn't do it. So the next day I spend the night at a hotel. I'm driving up north to Maine, and I realize I'm in New Hampshire, and I realized I don't have my wallet. My wallet's gone. So I pull over. I'm looking everywhere for my wallet. Can't find it. Call the hotel. Ask them to check my room. They check. It's not there. Then I'm like, all right. The last time I know I had my wallet was when I paid for my meal at a restaurant. So I start driving back to Salem because the restaurant's not even open yet. I go to the restaurant. I'm like, I'm really hoping that it's there. It's not there. I'm like, it's got everything, it's got money, obviously, which is the least important thing when you lose. It's all my IDs. It has just everything I need, in life, all my cards.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay. And I was at a point where I'm like, is this just like, is it time for me just to go into the woods and just like, I've just lost my identity. I don't have anything. I'm done. It is like, I was seriously like, I'm just going to park my car and just go. And that's, and I was, thinking about that lady, and I would never call a lady a witch, but if there's a lady in Salem, Massachusetts who challenges your personal morality and you don't deliver, she might have had a little magical influence to play. But
or was it something subconsciously you did?
Maybe. So I'm I give it up to the universe. I'm like, my wallet's gone and it is what it is. And now I'm coming to I'm low on gas, and I'm like, I can't cancel my card because I have the ability to pay for gas, like with, digital, Apple, whatever. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, but if I cancel my card, then I can't do that. So I'm like, so anyways, so I don't have any money. I didn't realize there's all these, I'm driving up to Maine. I just don't have anything. I didn't realize there's gonna be so many tolls. So now I go to I think the first toll was $2, the New Hampshire one, up through the bridge. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to go up to this person and be like, I don't have any money. Can I go keep driving? And the person I go through, and then the lady at the toll booth was like, the car in front of you paid for you. Yeah, no, so I'm able to get through. And then I'm like, but then there's another toll. It's going to be $3 down the road. I don't know. So I'm like, okay. And then And then I'm like, wait a second. And then I remember like I had like, it was nickels and dimes, but I had like $3 worth of nickels and dimes in my car. And now I'm through. But then here's where it gets funny. So that's $5. Now remember yesterday, I'll give $5, but I won't give a 20, Then I get a phone call. It's from the hotel. We found your wallet. It was stuffed inside a luxury pillow. Now, I don't know how that happened. I wasn't drinking the night before or anything like that. So I don't even know how but okay. So I turn around, but I got to go through these 2 tolls again. But now I definitely don't have money, right? So I go to the first toll and the guy's like, just go through. Just go through it. I go to the second toll. The person's like, just go through, So the universe provided a way for me to get back to Salem to get my wallet after I had just get accepted, and there was a lesson there. And for me, I went back to that lady and it was like, I thought $20 was too much for her, but I was losing my mind the next day because everything that I have was gone overnight in this flash, because I'm so important. So there's just those little karma. To me, it was like immediate karma repayal and a lesson, like you were saying, So it's just kind of funny. And I don't know. I don't even know why I brought that story up, but it's just one of those moments where it's like, oh yeah, there are lessons constantly happening.
That is such a good lesson because I think a lot of people are guilty of that.
Right.
We have a lot of people like that in Manchester.
Sure.
And I remember one day, like this guy had a sign and it's like food, anything. And I'm like, I think I have like walnuts in my bag, and then I like looked and like it had been in my purse for a while because I had like just in case like food and I had like walnuts. And I'm like, he's probably going to be like, are you fucking kidding me, lady? Like, I don't want to eat this. And then I was kind of like, oh, I don't want him thinking I'm just like, here, have some like trashy walnuts or something. But yeah, it's like, it's hard because also for some people, like $20 might be like a huge difference where it's like, I could give you $1 maybe, but 20, I just don't carry cash on me.
Sure.
So, but yeah, like it's just one of those things, like when you start valuing people.
Exactly. And that's what I was doing there,
Yeah,
I was like, you're not worth a $20 bill, but I'll give you all the charity in the world for a $5.
What a gentle reminder for you though.
Yeah.
Because it worked out.
Yeah, it did work out.
What a gentle reminder.
Yeah, I was lucky.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, you sure about feeling that way?
Yeah. But and that's the thing is like, but also to my own credit, I didn't lose my cool in that moment. I was just flowing with it because I could have easily done something irrational or whatever, but I allowed the story to play out, and I trusted that, I mean, we've all had bad things happen in our life, but we're still here,
It's almost like lucid dreaming where like you're aware and you're just like, I'm just going to go with it.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Where does this take us?
This is the experience I'm having. So it's not like, it's not pretending it's not happening. It's more like just accepting it as is and knowing either way, good or bad, I'm still here. I'm still a human having an experience. And and it's like, what's what you make of it? There was lessons to be learned, but and that's the thing with the external versus the internal. I mean, we kind of talked about a little bit earlier tonight, is just this notion that people, it seems like they just want to completely deny that anything bad is happening at all. It's all illusion, right? It is what it is. And I'm not here to say that good or the best case or a golden age or anything like that isn't happening, but it's like, why is that a requirement for your journey? What if your journey was able to encompass this idea of, even if it's a crazy storm of reality happening, you're still at peace in the midst of that storm? Maybe the lesson that we're all supposed to learn during this time period of history is sometimes stuff goes bad and it doesn't work out in the external, but you internally still overcame. Maybe that's the greater lesson. It's isn't that what the journey within is? Isn't that the maze home, to the inside? So I'm all for the best case scenario for humanity. Trust me, I am here to do it, to bring it, to play my part. But if I just like those witches in Salem, If I get burned at the stake, then so be it. You know, am I going to lose myself along the way? Am I going to give in to what the system wants me to give into? No, not at all. You know, isn't it funny? Like Salem is right on the Atlantic Ocean, right? And it's like, you know, Puritan society, they got like 5 yards into pagan North America, and probably some, you know, European gals, like they interacted with some of the Native Americans and they're like, take some incense. And then 30 seconds later, like, burn them at the stake. What was going on there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, well, even like back then, like they didn't want women being doctors,
Right.
healers, anything like that. Did I ever tell you about my past life experience
Maybe, but which one?
where I was burned alive?
No, tell me. There
So
you go.
my very first past life experience ran hypnosis class,
Yeah.
and we're taking turns, you know, practicing on each other.
Yeah.
And my friend from class, I'm, you know, in a hypnosis, and we're going back in time, you know, to another life. And I come into it. And at first it's kind of dark and I'm like, I can't see well. And then I see fire all around me. And I'm like, there's fire. And then I'm like, I'm on fire. And I'm like, what the? And I was like, it was so weird because my mind knew this isn't happening right now. I'm okay. But my body started reacting. And then I was taking on all these emotions, like I'm angry and everything.
Yeah.
And so like she ended up, because she's like, do you want to go to your safe place? And I was like, no, like I want to see what's going on here. Like, let's do this, you know, like I'm ready. And so she pulled me back further. So what I had learned was it was in the 1600s. And I was a healer using plants to help heal people, which was it was faux pas, but everyone benefited from it. So it was like the dirty little secret. We just won't say anything. Right. And so basically what had happened was this guy showed up. His name was John, and he started pounding on my door. And I open my door and he just starts like he's yelling at me, and I'm not like, he's just like berating me. And I'm just like, not trying to argue with him, but like, you're not going to scare me. And then he starts beating the shit out of me.
Damn.
Violently. Like my face is pulp.
Yeah.
And I get like knocked out and I come to. He had gone outside and set my house on fire. So my house is like on fire all around me. And so that is how I died.
Right.
But what had happened was I came in at the point where I was out of it and I didn't know what was going on. And I was picking up on his anger.
Wow.
Like, oh my gosh, like rage, like what the hell? And I didn't even do anything to him. Right. Like he just heard about what I was doing. And I'm just like, the fuck? But yeah, oh my goodness. It was just like, this is like awful, but awesome at the same time.
What a way to go.
Yeah.
I saw a picture, it's like a meme or something, but it was like a witch being burned at the stake, and she had a cigarette in her mouth, and she was like leaning down so she could like light her cigarette as she was getting burned alive.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like, I couldn't really fight back. Yeah. But which was weird because like in my mind, like I looked back, like, why didn't I fight back? But this guy was just so big and overpowering. And he was just like a cheetah, you know, on an antelope, just kind of like pouncing on me every opportunity. And I don't know. It was weird. I was like, why didn't you fight more? But then it was just that. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just funny because it was like, I wasn't even burned at the stake. It was like nobody, like I was off in this little village. Like I was burned, at the house. God. After like getting the crap pummeled out of me. I love how I'm laughing.
I know. We're like laughing. I mean, it's like, what can you do? But
the weird thing is like, it wasn't scary. It was just like, okay. But to come in, so that opportunity taught me, like when I put somebody in a past life, tell them to go back to a point in time in another life where at a point where they're doing something they enjoy doing. That most often will not be dying.
Right. Yeah.
Hopefully. Anyway.
I love this shit. I die all the time. Woo!
Well, that's the great thing that's held over us is the fear of death. And it's been used to like, after you die, if you didn't say the magic words, you're going to burn forever, you know?
Oh no, I burned before,
Right,
before
right,
that
right,
point.
right,
Yeah.
right. You're going to go to hell. You're going to go to Sheol. You're going to whatever, you know? And I don't know. I think it's a tricky doctrine that was created, and it makes like, if you just pause, if this offends you, just pause for a second, and you are made. Let's just play. I'll play by your rules and say there's a God that's the creator, that's also gonna, loves you relentlessly, and you're an imperfect human by your doctrine, and you think that they're just because of your mistakes that you're just gonna go away and be separate from the thing that loves you unconditionally forever, because in one go around you messed up to the point and you didn't seek quote unquote forgiveness? Seems highly unlikely. Or is there the possibility, through your perspective, that the thing that loves you unconditionally is going to work relentlessly for all eternity to bring you back home, if that's how it goes? That makes more sense to me. Now I go even further with reincarnation, but just to play by those rules. So like the doctrine of hell, it's I don't know. When you look at the formation of the Bible, because it was made by politicians hundreds of years after quote unquote Jesus was around, and they put it together. Jesus had 12 disciples supposedly, right?
Mhm.
And most of them wrote accounts of their time with Jesus, but only 4, I believe, made up the Gospels. So politicians hundreds of years later determined the person that's supposed to be the savior, his handpicked 12 disciples, and then they went ahead and they edited his chosen people. Even that is illogical, right? So there's inconsistencies that don't make sense, right? So on this journey, so it would make sense then that something like death, with the threat of it being forever linked to punishment, that's one way to get people in a permanent fear state, and I don't know. I could talk about that kind of stuff for hours. We don't have to go down.
No, well, one could argue that this is the hell.
I've heard that.
This
Yeah.
is the place where
Yeah.
we go, and
Right.
it's our job to evolve,
Right.
to get to heaven, to
Right.
ascend.
And that makes sense to me in a lot of ways too. Even in
Yeah.
my own life, I can look and be like, okay, I'm working through some stuff. There are some cycles that I have broken that still need to be broken, and that I'm sure are yet to be uncovered as needing to be unbroken.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you ever feel like, I've done my shadow work, I worked on this, and I've healed, and I'm in a good place, only for it to get thrown in your face and realize, like, fuck, I guess I'm not done.
Yeah. I mean, it's for sure. Like, I'm proud of, I don't like the idea of false humility, because I've seen a lot of it and I've probably even projected it. So maybe I have an extraordinary resistance to it now. But so I say that to say this, it's like, I'm proud of the work that I have done, but I also know I'm not perfect, right? But I am proud of the things that I have overcome. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not an improving human, because I am. And I think anyone out there, who's on a similar journey in terms of seeking higher consciousness and overcoming, you're a better person too. And that's okay. That's okay. You don't sit in it for too long, but acknowledge the reality of it as well.
That happened last weekend with Liz, because she, we were talking and she's like, oh, I can tell you put in the work.
Mm.
And I was like, it was nice to have that recognized, like, you get it. Like,
Yeah.
I've put in so much work, but it's like, not like, yeah, see what I did? It was just, it was nice. Like, you get it. Like, you recognize that, you acknowledge that. But I was like, there's always more work to do.
Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, I think that as long as we're here during this life iteration, we're probably going to always have something that we can knock off our list.
Always. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like Alex and I are always teaching each other.
Mm.
Like, we're honest. Like we always talk about, like, we want the truth, we want honesty, and we like, that is a requirement with us, with each other.
Yeah.
And so like we're honest with each other, and sometimes like the truth really hurts. But I'd rather, I know, like, I'd rather have it come from him than somebody who might wish me harm.
Right.
At least I know, like, he's saying it out of a place of love.
Some Twitter troll.
Yeah. It's like, and the best part is there is nothing anyone can say to me that like hurts more than what I say to myself. Like there's nothing you can do or nothing you can say that I haven't said or done to myself. So it's just kind of like, we all know our truth. We talked about with tarot and with different things that we know.
Right.
And sometimes we can't help ourselves, or sometimes it doesn't click that that's what it is.
Yeah.
And sometimes we need people to kind of throw it in our face, or we need the universe to throw it in our face so we can be like, okay, here we go again.
What is your guys' dream, like, vision of the future, moving forward?
Wow, that's a great question. Dream vision of the future. I don't know. Like for me personally, these last few years especially have made me want to move into the mountains and be remote and just in a really small community, really small town. That's where I want my kids to grow up. I don't want them to be at a big city anymore. I don't want to be, I just don't want to be around this anymore, this society. So I don't know, I guess just a small community in nature. Like that for me, that's ideal. That's where I see my future, our future, hopefully.
Yeah. I want like the village, the tribe. Like I want people who I can trust, who I can love. Like, last weekend, that whole like sisters, we're sisters. I'm like, that's bullshit. Because I never had that. I never had anywhere where it was like, oh, we have this love and we're sisters. I was like, I'm calling BS. You're all full of it. You don't really feel that way. And then after that experience, I was like, oh my God, like these are women. If I never see them again, they have become my sisters. And I love them. I hold love for them. And it's like everyone was working together, watering the garden, cooking, picking up. Everyone was just pitching in, helping each other, or kind of doing things and helping each other in different ways. And it's like that is the goal, right? And now you bring in families building together, growing together, working on the land together, helping watching each other's kids together, everyone teaching the kids different things from their own perspectives, their own knowledge. There's so much like that can be done. And I'm like, that's my dream, like not necessarily being isolated, but away from the bullshit with people who just are good human beings who care as much as you do about the community, about the children, about each other, and just all wanting to succeed together. No petty bullshit. Just this is what we do because our hearts have love, and it's all good. That's my dream.
I'm with you guys there. And I think we're entering into the stage where it's not action time, like it's got to happen tomorrow, but it's getting to the point where I think the connections have been made, and there's going to be more connections made and all that fun stuff. There's the digital realm where the message gets out, and that's great, and there's podcasting, that's awesome. But I just think more and more people are going to finally verbalize, say it out loud, which words have, words are magic, words have power. And then there's going to reach a point where it's like, wait, are we actually going to do this? I think you're going to start to see people do it. And obviously us included. Why not?
It takes that, say it out loud. Like, what do you want to do when you want to manifest something? You say it out loud, right? So you say it out loud. Well, what you want. Your dream for the future.
Oh, well, no, I mean, I'm in a transitional period right now, but once I break fully free
Manifest it.
from the matrix.
Yes.
Which will be sooner than later.
It will happen.
Yeah. I'm going to finally go all in on the thing that I've always wanted to do, which is just do stand-up comedy. I'm still going to podcast, still going to write books. But that's I told you guys this story earlier, but I've already done it. Like I've done it. So it's weird that I'm like, I should do it when I already know how to do it. And, 20 years ago at a Bible, not quite 20, but just about, I was a senior at a Bible college that I was about to drop out of a semester later. And I was one of the ones that was chosen to do the senior sermon. Like every Tuesday, a senior would preach. And actually, I have an old iPad in storage in Hawaii right now that actually has that sermon. No one will ever hear it. But what's funny? What's funny about that sermon, though?
Never say never.
I do remember even then, I did it through the Christian, version. But even then, my message is pretty much the same that it is now. And it was a sermon about like, we're at this Bible college and we're all from different parts of the country and stuff like that. But you don't have to fit yourself into a box of what it means to be a Christian, right? So I was like, some people are from the inner city and you're going to have the ability to reach people in the inner city that I never would because I wasn't raised in that. There's some people, and I went through all the stereotypical stuff, right? But the point was, is like, be you, which is kind of funny because 20 years later, here I am with that same exact message. But during the sermon, the best parts, and this was, was so at the chapel, it was like inside jokes, right? So certain people sat in certain parts. So up in the second level, like that's where like the critics were, like the people that were were like questioning every word and getting all, and then like in the middle area of the lower section were like all like the freshmen and sophomores, and then off to the left there were married people, like that's where the married people, because in order to have sex you got to be married, so people will get married like crazy at Bible college. And then off in the front would be professors and stuff like that. So I just went around and I was like, well, I just something along the lines of like, look at us all. You got the critics up in the corner questioning every word, and people laughed because they understood. Like it was stating the obvious. That's what comedy is a lot of times.
Yeah.
I was like, you have freshmen and sophomore that are still excited about Jesus here in the middle, and then people laughed because like they're the ones that are during worship service are all exuberant. I was like, you got the married people to the left that are thinking about what they're going to do as soon as they get out of here. And we all know what that is, and people laugh. That's about as you can't really, it was a Christian Bible college.
It's funny because
I couldn't say fuck.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and then you have all these professors here, and there's not many of you here, which is interesting because we're required to show up here X amount of times, or else we get kicked out. But you guys can just come and go as you please, and then everyone laughed. So it was like I've always understood timing and how to connect to a crowd and make people laugh. And it's like, that's the thing I love to do, is make people laugh. Why am I not doing that? You see what I'm saying? It's just like, so when you finally clear through all the BS, right? And, it doesn't always have to be like, I argue that everyone has some artistic talent, right? But maybe your artistic talent is administration in terms of connecting people to be able to create a community, and you're good at networking, and that's your creative gift or whatever. Like everyone out there has something that they feel pulled to. I firmly believe that. And when you can align that with what it means to be a free sovereign being, I think there's limitless potential in terms of what that plays out. And if you're in line with what your journey is, destined to be, or like the best case scenario, your higher self coming down to merge with you in the present moment, that you're going to have a life worth remembering, let alone living, So just for me, like, it's just coming to like I podcast, I've written a book, but in my heart, it's being in front of people on stage and making them laugh. So why wouldn't I do that? So that's what's next. Yeah.
I love it. It's awesome.
So awesome. I love it.
Yeah, and then I'll take some bumps in wrestling after.
Oh,
there you go.
There you go.
Yes, one day he'll be in the celebrity section of the WWE Hall of Fame.
There you have it.
So what do you guys think? I gotta go use the bathroom. So.
I think this has been awesome.
This has been so fun.
Awesome. It's great.
So, Conrad, thank you so much, man, for joining us.
Thank you.
this
Yeah,
week.
tell everyone how they can find you.
So if you search Conrad in any of the podcasts apps, you'll find me. My book, Lucid Sacred Dreams, you can Google. And that's really it for right now. I'm Conrad G315 on Twitter and Instagram.
We'll put all the links in our
All right,
show notes
sweet.
as well.
Absolutely.
We should probably tell people how they can find us too.
Sure. Go ahead. Why don't you start?
You can find us on Twitter at Homewrecker Pod,
Yes.
our website, homewreckerpodcast.com. Brighteon and YouTube.
And
you can watch
YouTube.
us on there for the watchers or
Yes.
hear us anywhere there is audio for podcasts, pretty much. And if you'd be so inclined, if you can have the opportunity to give us a 5-star review, that would be awesome and much appreciated. And how can people find you, my love?
You can't really.
You love that.
Yeah. AlexArionFitness.com. And you could find me on Twitter, but I don't ever really go on there anymore. So I don't even feel like plugging it.
There you go.
What about you?
You can find me on Twitter at _Monique Giselle _ You can go to my Etsy shop, Wonders by Monique, my website, tarotbymonique.com. And I have a new website coming, innerstandingshypnosis.com. I'm working on it right now. I think I might offer a free group inner child hypnosis session.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to put something out. So keep your eye out on my Twitter for information on how to get into that, because I'll put out a list and you sign up and only so many people will be able to do it. But figure, yeah, like we all
Pretty
need to
cool.
heal our inner child. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
let's start that, because not everyone has the opportunity to afford to pay for hypnotherapy. So let's at least do that for the people, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So keep an eye out for that.
There you have it. All right. Well,
Yeah.
until next time, Conrad, thank you so much.
Thank you
It's
so
been awesome.
much.
This was
We
fun.
love you.
And I am the Golden Greek, Alex Arion, joined as always by my beautiful, lovely, gorgeous, amazing trophy wife, the lovely Monique.
And you've been listening to the Homewrecker Podcast.